And also, I'm pumped about my shout-out today.
Oh, boy.
I just found this person about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to tease you with something that's going to make no sense. 1952 NBA draft territorial pick. I don't even know what that means.
Okay. All right. Everyone get hyped. 1952 NBA draft territorial pick. Wait till the end of the show. I know everyone's going to want to stick around for that now.
And here we go.
Here's Love for the tie. Oh! Obaseki for three in the lead. First lead of the game for A&M.
Fans wanted to travel. Price to three. Good!
Clocks at 7. Here's Mark. Had a game winner last year against them. Off the window and in.
Hello, friends. Welcome back into another episode of the D1 and Done Pod. This episode brought to you by the official Mountain West and SEC correspondents and the benefactors of the pod, the Hagen Hall Boys. Make sure you give us a follow on our social media pages. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are also on YouTube. You can find us at D1 and Done Pod on YouTube, and you can email us d1anddonepod@gmail.com. You can find our Spotify page by searching the same show name. You can also leave a review, rate us 5 stars. Make sure you are following the page so you are up to date on all of our pods that get pushed out. We know we had to push this one another day after Monday, and then we also have our Check Please pod coming up on Thursday, so make sure you look forward to that. We will get our speak pipe up and running again soon. Now that college football has finished and the NFL's on to the Super Bowl, which, bleh, who cares about the Super Bowl this year, right? Good, no response. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Right, no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
I'm into Chiefs, Pete. Why not? Chiefs, Pete.
Okay, I'm excited about the Super Bowl. I could say there's 2 teams I can't stand either of them. So, but yeah. I mean, but maybe it's just jealousy, right?
Yeah, yes, it is.
I'm still such a Patriots hater. I'm pumped the Chiefs are knocking him off the pedestal.
That is a good point.
How insane I have a bunch of Boston buddies too, so I've been trolling them for a while. That Mahomes is the GOAT. So,
did they watch the Rockets game last night?
I'm sure they did.
Ooh.
Amin Thompson, very good.
That he is.
Yeah.
That he is.
All
right,
sorry, go ahead, Rob.
You're fine. We'll get our speak pipe up and running again. As just keep that on your radar. You can send in questions via SpeakPipe by leaving a voice message, speakpipe.com/D1andDonePod. But we'll save that for another day. I'm Robbie Donahoe, Dusty Mills, Nick Mills. We're all here. The gang's all here for another great episode of the show. This is Season 2, Episode 15. Probably a good thing we actually waited to do the pod until today, because Monday night there was some weird stuff going on, things that did not make sense, and some chaos. We're not going to talk about Michigan Penn State, but that game got really weird at the end. But we will at some point mention the name Caleb Love on this podcast. It's going to happen, and we will make a mention to it. But Nick, starting with you, sir. We will have a bracketology update from you later along with Bubble Watch, but how about these hot starts with these teams that kind of are starting to perk back up a bit?
Yeah, Robbie, I noticed a trend with some teams out here, start off really, really good and kind of, I'm not going to say fall off the planet, like they're not going full, I can't even know what I'm thinking of. So they're all still very much title contenders, tournament teams, blah, 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 but have fallen back a little bit. And the 3 teams I'm really pointing out are Dusty's Kentucky Wildcats, who started off 12-2, had wins over Duke, Gonzaga, Florida, Louisville, 2-3 Sense. Tennessee, 14-0, who had wins over Louisville, Baylor, and Illinois, 3-3 Sense. And also it's fitting those 2 teams play each other tonight as we record here on this Tuesday, which also is part of the reason I pulled this up, because I think the loser of that game, granted Kentucky might be down 3 rotation players tonight, or only 2, we'll see, depending on, because Lamont's out, Caritza's out, maybe Carr, we'll see. Either way, whoever loses that game, I think is not in hot water, but it's really not going the right direction they want to be right now. And the other team I want to throw out are the Oregon Ducks, who start off 12-1.
Yeah.
And have the second most quad 1 wins at the moment, but still, they're 12-1, had wins over their arch rival Oregon State, Texas A&M, San Diego State, Alabama, USC. Just 4-3 Sense, with including a loss, I believe, at Minnesota over the weekend. So, again, those 3 teams combined are 9-9 in the last 18 games.
Man,
It's not it's not 1-10. It's not 12-game losing streak. They're all still, somewhat title contenders, I would say. But I think it is notable that they all are off to, dog days of the season a little bit right now. Another team I think we should also point out is Kansas. They're a little bit more like on a 2-month span here, right? Because they start off 7-0 and they're 7-5 cents. We'll talk more about them later, I'm sure. Those three teams specifically, Kentucky, Oregon, Tennessee, and are kind of, again, hot starts, got off the great starts, slowing down a little bit, which makes Kentucky, Tennessee even more interesting tonight, in my humble opinion, Mr. Donahoe.
I would agree with you there, Nikki. By the way, you mentioned, 18 and 18? Is that what you said?
9-9.
9-9 in their last 18. Sorry. That's a really good, solid record for I don't know if you knew this, but in the last 108 games played in the SEC teams are 54 and 54.
Poor Archie.
If you didn't get it, I'm gonna play this. So there was a tweet floating around somewhere, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it said something along the lines of
I can pull it up for you.
Yeah, so
I used to tell my IU buddies. It was so good.
So the SEC was 54 and 54 in its last 108 games. Someone put it up on a tweet.
Again, great tweet. Great troll tweet.
Great troll tweet. Well, someone actually mentioned this to Archie Miller in his press conference on Monday at Rhode Island. By the way, Archie Miller is now at Rhode Island. I had to remind myself of that because it still boggles my mind that he's coaching in college basketball still. But someone actually mentioned it to Archie Miller.
Or did he bring that? Didn't he bring that stat up?
Maybe he brought it up unprovoked. Let me listen to the sound. I want to listen to the sound and let everyone hear this here.
Difficult. I heard somebody say the other day, the SEC is the best league in the country, but, in all games they're like 54 and 54. Somebody said that. I don't know if that's even accurate, but, do you know how hard it is in every league, to win? It's just hard to win any game. And I think
it's hard to win any game. Last time I checked, the SEC was 54 and 54 in its last 108 games.
Which, not the lie, Robbie.
Archie,
not the lie.
Archie, get off Twitter. I don't think you're good at it. If you're getting sucked in by that.
The stock of him and his brother 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh,
insane! I really thought IU had a home run higher in the higher.
Would IU take him back right now? What do you think?
We need a poll question.
That would be a great poll question. I'd be curious to hear from IU fans if they would take him back over Mike Woodson. Probably not. But yeah, I'm surprised at kind of how, again, Kansas is just way too talented to be where they are. Now, we're going to talk about the Houston game in a little bit. Strap up for that one. Holy crap. Who are their two teams you mentioned? Obviously, Kentucky, Tennessee. Yeah, I kind of.
And no one had bad losses. I guess Oregon and Minnesota would quantify as that. But other than that,
and Minnesota's been playing great lately, which makes no sense. Literally no sense why Minnesota all of a sudden has decided, you know what, we're going to be a competent basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
They said Dawson Garcia said, "I got this." The other Ben Johnson can coach, I think.
He can. That's a good point. I love that. Ben Johnson at Minnesota and a Drake.
And again, I think it's just fitting because, again, my Cats had another tough result over the weekend.
Yeah.
And they played Tennessee tonight. I think the loser, again, it's not panic meter per se, but it's just okay, we need to get going ASAP, I would say, that kind of territory.
Tennessee offensively just worries me. I think they're an elite defensive team, but when they need a basket and Chaz Lanier is not on, it concerns me how Tennessee. This Tennessee team is very reminiscent to those Tennessee teams that either lost in the first or second round under Rick Barnes for a long time, and this kind of feels like that again. And it didn't feel that way earlier in the season because they got so much out of Chaz Lanier being that Dalton Connect kind of player, and now it just. I don't know. Tennessee has me worried. I'm much more optimistic about Kentucky, but Kentucky's defense is really what's holding them back right now because they can't keep anyone in front of them off the dribble. So
yeah, and in Kentucky, their thing, and they're 4 losses away from Rupp. They have scored under 70 points in all 4. Which, to your point, if they're not hitting all cylinders on offense, it's really tough for them to win.
Very much so. we wanted to also touch on Arizona because Arizona is kind of the opposite of what that stat is right now. Because, and this was kind of Dusty wanted to talk about this, and I know we'll mention it with him here momentarily.
Sorry, yeah, fans. He had tap out like Anthony Richardson at the moment. He'll be joining us again soon.
He's been going at it. He's been going at it too hard on the prep, and he had to tap out. He needed a break. So it's okay. It's fine. But Arizona's resurgence has been like truly extraordinary because I think there was a run there for a little bit. I think all of us were kind of like, okay, is Tommy Lloyd team again? Is this going to happen again? Well, right now, Arizona is second in the Big 12. And that's a Big 12 that, granted, I think it's probably the second best conference in the country. Probably. Arizona's now up to 11 in the net. They are 9-1 in their last 10. The only thing that kind of makes you kind of press pause a little bit is they're 4-6 in quad one games, which is not ideal. But also, you could say they got wins now over Iowa State, Baylor, West Virginia, and Cincinnati. Now, the problem is that they don't have a ton of quality wins. So that 8-1 conference record is really nice. But again, they've beaten Iowa State now, Baylor, West Virginia, Cincinnati, UCF, Oklahoma State, TCU, Colorado. So it's not like they're beating up some heavy hitters here.
But the good news for them, they have no bad losses. It's probably their best thing they got going for them. And honestly, like you said, not many, quantity-wise quad one wins, but at least they start off probably 0-5 in quad one. Mm-hmm. So they actually have made up some ground, and they still get Texas Tech at home, I believe. Oh, no, they go at...
Texas Tech at home. Sorry. Yeah, their next two...
home.
Yeah, next two on the road, at Arizona State, at BYU, then Texas Tech at home, and then at Kansas State, and then Houston at home, as you mentioned. Yeah, there's a stretch here. 3 of their next 4 on the road. This would be prime territory where Arizona decides, we're going to start believing in us actually being really good, and we're going to lose 3 of those 4.
But Robbie, is this a bad thing for them? Because as we know in the past, they've been like a top 2 or 3 seed, and then they get upset early.
Yeah, maybe
they should be a 6, 7, 8 seed.
Maybe it would be better for Tommy Lloyd's teams to not be good. So
I should consider it, Tommy.
I've been encouraged seeing them play. Caleb Love still is just absolutely diabolical of what he could be. But last night was incredible, and that's the kind of game those are the kinds of wins that you can really hang your hat on when you get to March.
Yeah, for people who didn't see, because it was a 10:30 tip on a Monday, it was Arizona down 3 points at home to Iowa State. And Iowa State makes the free throw go up 3 with about, 1 point?
It was 2 seconds left.
2 seconds left. They inbound it in. My guy, Caleb Love, from 3/4 court, swishes it in.
Crazy.
He was bad all game, but damn it, the thing about Caleb Love, when it matters most, he hits the game-winning shot.
Shoot, man.
Take that, devil. Thank you, Caleb Love. The full Caleb Love experience this year. It's amazing.
Truly. So Arizona's on our radar now. Definitely a team that's shown their... But I feel like once they get into the top 25, when we put them there, that's when they fall off. I mean, Texas Tech boat raced them, and that's their only loss in the last 10. So we'll kind of see where Arizona goes.
At Arizona State on Saturday is going to be a real test.
That is a that is a prime letdown game to Bobby Hurley in Arizona State, a team that I was hyping up a few weeks ago, and they've kind of fallen off a bit. So they're an interesting team. So while we are talking about teams in March and thinking about March, I want to start putting out the numbers and the metrics to figure out those teams that are fitting the numbers of what we can say as being potential national champions. So, again, this is not my opinion, and I got most of this from Ryan Hammer, who you can find him on Instagram. He's awesome at talking college hoops. So, on KenPom, every national champion except for one in the KenPom era has been top 50, or every national champion has been top 57 offensive efficiency, top 37 defensive efficiency in KenPom. Unfortunately, Alabama and Kentucky are not in the top 37 defensively, so automatically I know, you can't pick them to win the national championship right now. That could change. All except for one have been top 21 offensive efficiency in KenPom. If you also add on the fact the last 20 national champions, their head coach has had 10-plus years experience, except for one. Can you name that one?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, so the last 20 national champions in men's college basketball, their head coach has had at least 10 years of experience as the head coach of that school. Who's the one that did not?
It's Kevin Ollie.
Kevin Ollie, indeed, from UConn, absolutely.
UConn is the anomaly to all these.
Doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And then, so after those two, you then have to be ranked in the top 12 in that Week 6 AP poll. There are two teams that hit those numbers and all those metrics. One, not surprising, is Auburn, which again, not shocked. The second team might surprise you. Do you know who that second team is, Nick?
Might surprise me. It's got to be Purdue, right?
Somehow Purdue hits all of those numbers and metrics. I don't know how, but they do. So right now, according to the numbers, if you had to pick a national champion right now today, the only two teams that you could pick, according to numbers and metrics, would be Auburn and Purdue. Crazy.
That is crazy. First of all, Robbie, I love when people do this because I think this is also fascinating to me.
It's also talking myself into thinking Purdue can win a national championship this year, which I don't know if they really can, but maybe Braden Smith can do it on his own. I don't know.
Well, this is why I want to bring up. I think you or someone have mentioned this. This team does remind a lot of people, and me included, like the 2019 Purdue team, right? 2018 had that loaded Purdue team.
Yep.
Lost in 2016 to Texas Tech. Lost a lot of players, but brought back Carson Edwards and Ryan Klein. And they shocked a lot of people and made Elite Eight. Don't want to finish the story for you, Robbie, but you get my point. They lost a lot.
Kyle Guy, I will never forgive you.
So this team is giving me kind of those vibes a little bit, Robbie.
Yeah, it's starting to feel that way. I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed in Auburn last Saturday against Tennessee. I thought that they were going to be able to kind of beat them by 8 or more and look pretty impressive doing it. Offensively, they struggled. That was a rock fight against Tennessee. And it was encouraging to see Auburn win a game like that, but also they've been boat racing everybody at home. And the team that has struggled to play offensively lately in Tennessee, you couldn't run them out of that building. You've been doing it to everyone else. It was odd to me about that game, especially with Janai Broom coming back too.
Should we use it as a transition? Because that's going to be the game I highlighted.
Yes, I want to hear more about Tennessee Auburn because I'm fascinated why it lined up. It seemed everything lined up to be an Auburn blowout there.
Right, and the reason I picked this game because I usually try and do something a little more off the radar, but to me, this other than the other game you chose, this was the big game of the weekend, right?
Right.
So Auburn beats Tennessee 53-51. You already mentioned it was a rock fight. Both teams were 7 of 42 from 3 combined.
Oh my gosh!
They started off 1 for 24 combined. It may have gotten worse, but I took the note mid-game. Auburn was 1 of 13. Tennessee was 0 of 11. It could have gotten worse at the time.
Yeah.
But 1 of 24, these two teams combined, a Rick Barnes masterclass. But Robbie, you mentioned this was kind of sent for an Auburn like they have game day there. Broom came back.
Yeah.
Feel themselves. Tennessee can't score. And boy, was it a rock fight. Broom was 16-13 off the bench. He actually played well.
He did.
And he played 33 minutes and didn't start. So essentially, once he came in, he didn't come off the court, which is a great sign. But
yeah,
Robbie, there's two lines of thinking here, right? Is it one like, hey, a really good defensive team can lock down Auburn, or was Auburn due to have a bad shooting night or bad performance on offense?
Yeah,
and still got the dub versus a really good team. I don't know. I think I lean towards the latter. Is that how that works? The former and the latter?
Former and latter, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Teacher Robbie. So, yeah, I think I lean towards the latter because, again, that is Auburn's 11th Quad 1 win.
Goodness.
I mentioned earlier, Oregon's second most at 8. So, yeah, Auburn is they're kind of the runaway number 1 right now, at least in my opinion. We've talked about that before in the year. But, yeah, I think this is a good sign for Auburn because you include the fact Broom did play most of the game. And, yeah, 11 Quad 1 wins. And I do want to shout, we mentioned Tennessee earlier, how putrid they were on offensively. Their top 4 leading scorers on the season, if you don't know, Lanier, Ziegler, Gainey, and Milicic. Is that how you say it? I think
so, yeah.
Were a swift 12 of 42 from the field for a good 28% from the field. So, again, that's a little concern for Auburn that they were that bad, and it took a late 3 from Auburn to win. But nonetheless, rock fight, like you mentioned. Weird game overall, but War Eagle, Robbie.
War Eagle. It was... I almost thought I was in some alternate universe watching Auburn let Zakai Ziegler try to go win them the game. It did not make sense. And Jordan Gainey's probably the best shooter on that team. Maybe Chaz Lanier, but Lanier's been a little up and down lately.
He's way more streaky.
Yeah, super streaky. But Igor Milicic definitely makes this Tennessee team a little more scary, because if you don't have him, then you really don't have another big-time scorer outside of Lanier and Ziegler. And Gainey can be, but Gainey's he's just okay. So I don't know if Tennessee has enough horses to be that team to make a run to a Final Four. I think they're a good team. I think they peaked way too soon. And now we're at the point where they're really going to have to win rock fights to have any chance to do anything. And that's why tonight's so fascinating, because you're playing a Kentucky team that wants to score. Can you keep them below 70? That's the big question.
Especially, again, I've already mentioned no Lamont Butler. And, if they – because there's a world where Kentucky can't score, but they still win this game, right? Like, you look up, they just won 58-52 in a game at Tennessee. So, and again, the losers count 4 SEC losses already. Gosh, and we're not in February yet. So, just big game all around. And Tennessee, they do have 3 SEC losses, but they lost to Vandy by 1, lost to Auburn by 2, got boat raced by Florida, but still, they're just – I've not believed in them all year. Maybe it's my Kentucky bias. I don't really believe in this team because, like you said, reminds me of Tennessee teams in the past that can't score, get upset the first weekend, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I have my doubts about Tennessee. We'll see if they can flip those doubts. I'm very curious how tonight's game against Kentucky is going to go. That is a 7 p.m. tip-off, by the way. You can watch the game on ESPN.
Any long-term concerns about Auburn based on our performance?
No. Again, I thought they were going to get blown. I thought they were going to blow out Tennessee, but no, I'm not worried about them. They're the best team in college basketball now. Them and Duke are the best 2 teams in college hoops, and they're kind of on a collision course. It kind of feels a little like Auburn or a little like UConn, Purdue last year in a sense. I think Iowa State's going to have something to say about that. I think Iowa State is legit. If Houston keeps playing as well as they have, I think you got to throw Houston in there. Speaking of Houston, good Lord. So my game I'm picking to talk about, we're going to talk Houston, Kansas, double OT. I still don't know how Kansas will lost that game. I do not understand it. Kansas up by 6 with 28 seconds left. That 3 that who was it? Who hit that 3? Was it Sharp?
Yeah, to cut the 3.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sharp hit the 3 with 8 seconds left to cut the game to 3. And then
you missed the part of it.
Yeah.
They're up 6 at the line with Juwan Harris at the free throw line.
Yeah.
18 seconds or 28, whatever it was. 78% free throw shooter clanks both. So sorry, I just want to make sure we got that in. Go ahead.
That entire game just defied logic. Kansas, that's the type of game they never lose at home. They just don't. They beat everyone in that situation. And they don't have that go-to scorer that they thought they were getting with A.J. Storr. He was terrible in that game. Terrible. Rylan Griffin was the only reason why that team really had a chance to win late. Zeke Mayo was okay. Flory Badunga played a great game. He was 19.7 rebounds. I know he fouled out, which kind of threw things for a loop towards the end there. Hunter Dickinson was just okay. But 12 turnovers, that doesn't help. 9 for 25 from 3, that doesn't help. This Kansas team is starting to break my brain because they are way too talented and way too good to be losing the way that they have been losing this year. I think and then the bigger story is Houston's a Final Four team. And anyone who tells you otherwise is crazy because they have the defense, they have the scorers. I mean, if they are they're almost the upgraded version of Tennessee. They have guys that can go get buckets. Like LJ Cryer is the guy that can go score. Emmanuel Sharp is the guy that can go score. Malik Wilson was hitting everything. Terrence Arsenault is great off the bench for Houston. I think if I am much more of a believer in Houston than Tennessee. I know that's a different topic, but I have massive concerns about Kansas now because I just don't know who's the guy for them. Heck, they don't even have right now it doesn't even feel like they have a Robin, let alone a Batman. I don't know, like DeJuan Harris feels like he's kind of the head of the snake, but he's not a scorer. He's kind of a facilitator. And Hunter Dickinson's a really good player. Zeke Mayo is flawed as a player. Shaquille Moore, good player. A lot of good players. They have no one that's great or anyone that stepped up into that great elite spot that they've had in the past with great players like a Frank Mason or someone crazy that's been like a guy that can go get you 25. They don't have that on this team.
Yeah, Robbie, it was crazy. Again, we should mention KJ Adams has now missed time. I still think
Forgot
he's going to be out.
Yeah, KJ Adams not in that game, but
AJ Stewart has just been disappointment.
Good Lord. He's been
it's
awful.
crazy about Kansas. Just overall, again, they're top 10 live computers, and they're preseason number 1. Like, you would think of a preseason number 1 was top 10 in live computers at this point of year. We'd still be feeling good about them, and yet we don't in any way whatsoever.
No.
Just real quick again, just how crazy this game was. Kansas was up 6 with a minute and a half to go in the regulation, and that wasn't the big blowness part of the game. Gosh. That wasn't the worst part about it, Robbie. This how bad of a blown lead it was in overtime. I had a stat from this guy named Jared Burson on Twitter. All right, let me read this out loud to you. Per KenPom, Houston had a 0.4% chance to win when Kansas had the ball up 6 with 20 seconds to go. That makes Houston's win the most unlikely win in any of the 1,487 games between AP top 25 teams in the last 15 seasons.
Wow.
That's how insane that game was. Shout out Jared Burson from that stat.
Dang.
It's crazy, Robbie, that Kansas is here. And for Houston, I agree with you. I think they're Final Four good. They actually earned 2 quad 1 wins on Saturday because they beat Kansas. And their win over UCF became a quad 1 win because UCF evidently is a quad 1 win now. So Houston, back in business. I love the quads crack me up, dude. How they change overnight.
I like it. It's a good way to kind of spread things out on the sheet and see everything. So I'll bring this up about Kansas. Their next 3 games: UCF out at Baylor, Iowa State. Tough 3-game stretch, but after that, it opens up big time. You got Kansas State, Colorado, Utah, BYU, Oklahoma State, Colorado again. That's their 6 after those 3 I mentioned. Kansas has a chance to. I mean, they could go on a run here, but at the same time, they could also fall flat on their face. I mean, they could go to Utah and lose. Like they could definitely do that. And it's crazy. It's crazy
because I think most of us, at least I did, consider Bill himself to be the best coach in college basketball in 2022, and they won the Natty. Got his second. He's been a great coach. He's still a great coach. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But these last season and a half, it's just been so un-Kansas-like. It's very bizarre.
Very much so. And it's kind of started last year, being that 4 seed, and then
it's been his last and a half.
I mean, Gonzaga absolutely destroyed them in that round of 32 game.
And they were preseason more than last year too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Just the piece is just not fitting right now at Kansas, and it's weird, and it doesn't make any sense.
Well, the correlation there. Mr. Dickinson stepped on campus last year.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So once Hunter Dickinson leaves, all goes back to normal for Kansas.
I think. Get the dick off the campus. That's all you have to do.
Oh, gosh.
I guess they had Grady Dick last year. That didn't really work either.
That's a good point. There's too many dicks going around. That's ultimately what was the problem. Yeah, too much dick energy. All right, other stories of note from the last week or so. We got an update on Todd Golden. If you need a fresh reminder, he was thought to have violated Title IX and had some inappropriate relationships. He was cleared of all of the wrongdoing. The Title IX office closed his investigation, saying they found no evidence that he violated Title IX. So Todd Golden is now free and clear, has no issues whatsoever. So he will move on. How about the resurgence of Missouri and Vanderbilt? Where in the world does this come from? Missouri got a big win at home against Ole Miss over the weekend. Vanderbilt can't stop winning. And then you have Kentucky and Ole Miss on losing skids. Like, the SEC is just bonkers right now. How the heck did Texas come back and beat A&M? That makes no sense to me. Trey Johnson's awesome. He's going to be a top 10 pick.
The freshmen are back this year. It's great.
You mentioned, what was that one of your top stories a couple weeks ago, I think? Was it freshmen are back?
Mm-hmm. Freshmen are back. Is because that was, we talked about in our draft preview last year, just how the lack of one and dones in freshmen, the resurgence, Robbie. Love to see it.
The resurgence indeed. IU drew up the worst inbounds play in the history of basketball to try to beat Maryland.
Well, the best part about that was
gosh.
The substitutions before the inbounds. The crowd
made no sense.
The crowd went from booing to cheering to booing. It was like a maestro. It was glorious. IU basketball. God bless y'all.
Oh, so we now get to the part where we need to talk. We're going to have another greater conversation here about IU, but so let's go through the numbers. Currently, they're on the last 4 in line on most bracketologists. They're 6-4 in their last 10. IU is 2-7 against Quad 1 teams. But they don't have any bad losses. All their losses are inside of Quad 1. So take that what you will. But the next 6 games on IU's schedule, they go to Purdue on Friday, to Wisconsin, home to Michigan, at Michigan State, home to UCLA, home to Purdue. Oh boy.
I mean, if you're already a tournament team, 2-4 might be enough, Robbie. But I'm not even sure they can
probably.
pull it off.
I mean, if they win their home games, and maybe, I mean, the Purdue game's always an iffy one, the Purdue home game. But if you beat Michigan, UCLA at home, and then you just drop the road games, I think they'd be okay. But
I think they would, but they've already lost to Illinois and Maryland at home.
I mean, their best win right now is at Ohio State, and thank goodness they got that. Or, I mean, maybe if you're an IU fan, maybe you're like, why didn't we lose that? Because now we got to try to mess around and try to make the tournament. And this is my plea. If you're a Purdue fan and you are going to the game on Friday at Mackey Arena, when they announce, and the head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers is Mike Woodson. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! All 14,000 Purdue fans at Mackey, you should stand up and cheer. We want to keep Mike Woodson around. We love the way things are going. Don't change a thing, IU. You're doing great.
So Kentucky kind of did that to Louisville with Kenny Payne, but it was so bad, it was like, who cares?
That's why it was almost, yeah.
But also, Mike, and I guess Kenny Payne's Louisville's own too, but Mike Woodson's literally one of their guys too. So Purdue to do that too would be such an even better troll.
I hope they do, and it would be great. I don't know who the president of the Paint Crew is right now, but so I had a direct line to the former president of the Paint Crew when I was in college, and that would have been something I would have. That would have been something I would have floated to and be like, hey, you guys, you should cheer Mike Woodson when his name's announced. I think that would be incredible.
Northwestern chanted higher Woodson.
That is next level. Of course, the smart people in Northwestern do something like that. Not surprised. But so now 62nd in Ken Palm IU. The upcoming schedule doesn't look great. Obviously, this Friday, who knows how it's going to go. It's IU Purdue. You throw the records out the window. You really don't. I mean, it's one of those cliche things you say about rivalry games, but we'll talk about that game more later.
Rob, you're missing one important game on the schedule for IU.
Which is?
The spring game, April 19th.
That's my birthday.
Oh, look at that. You go to Bloomington for the IU spring game, Rob.
Let's all celebrate Kurt Cignetti and the IU football team.
Google them.
I mean, they're a football school now, guys. Sorry.
They literally are. That's why I brought it up. They're a football school until further notice.
We don't have to keep trolling IU, but it is fun. Michigan State is somehow still perfect in the Big Ten. I don't get it. It makes no sense, but they are. But I would caution all of you. I think if it was any other team, we would be, saying the hold it, wait, break, please, because I think everyone loves the January, February Izzo stuff. I get it. Everyone loves the Michigan State story. Shout out Brady. But outside of beating Illinois, Michigan State has not beaten anyone worth anything to start the season in the Big Ten. After tonight's game against Minnesota, their schedule, it's interesting. They go to USC, to UCLA, home to Oregon, home to IU, at Illinois, Purdue, at Michigan, at Maryland, Wisconsin, at Iowa, then Michigan. The rest of their games from here on out are going to be against teams, after tonight, they will be teams inside the top 75 in the net. Before that, they played Rutgers outside the top 75. You have inside Illinois, Penn State, Northwestern, Washington outside the top 75, Western Michigan, FAU, Oakland. Nebraska's been poor lately. Like, it's going to get tough for Michigan State. They're going to get theirs. And if you want to make some money, I'm going to tell you this right now. The February 8th game on Saturday, when they host Oregon, that's a noon tip-off time. They will have just played on Tuesday night at UCLA at 10 p.m., which means the following Wednesday, they can take a red eye or they can stay, whatever it's going to be. Wednesday's out the window. Thursday's a recovery. Friday, somehow you got to prep for Oregon. And Saturday, you're facing one of the physical teams in the Big Ten that can actually hang with you on the glass. That is a prime position. If you want plus money line odds, Oregon would win in East Lansing.
Look at this. We're right into the lock segment yet. And Robbie from 10
Sorry.
days away is calling his shot.
That's my pre-lock for 2 weeks from now. Oregon money line. You're getting plus odds on that. Take it while you can.
I love it, Robbie. And yeah, I have nothing much more to add to Michigan State. I think they're the most fascinating team to watch because they're scheduled next month or so. And I really like Jeremy Fears, my guy at point guard. Shout out.
He's been great. But again, Michigan State, they don't shoot threes. Jaden Akins is a pretty decent shooter. They get everything in the paint and play. I mean, this is a very vintage Michigan State Tom Izzo team where they don't have that one superstar, but they're going to crush you on the glass. They're going to try to beat you in transition. That's it.
They are an ensemble for sure. They have. Yeah. I'm trying to do the quick math in my head. I think they have 10 guys averaging 6 or more, or 9 guys maybe. We do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was good podcasting. 9 guys average 6 points or more.
Yeah, and they're a very, very, very good team. I don't know if they're great. We'll see. It's hard to kind of put your finger on them and kind of get them. Let's talk some injuries and other issues. Liam McNeely might be returning soon. UConn kind of needs it. You lose at Xavier, and now things are kind of falling off a little bit for the Huskies because right now Marquette St. John's tied for first in the Big East, and UConn is 2 games back, so they got some issues. Ivisic might be the key to Illinois because without him, they're struggling. And you kind of wonder, I mean, Illinois. I think everyone in the Big Ten agrees Illinois has the highest ceiling, but they kind of have been going through some weird rough spots lately, which is odd. So figure out what Illinois needs to do to change things up. I don't quite know.
They're soft part of schedule too, so it'll be fascinating. They can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I would imagine that they will. How about St. Mary's? They have now won 14 straight road games. That's an impressive stat. The Gales have been awesome, and they're currently 2 games ahead in first place in the West Coast Conference. So it's been pretty impressive to see what they've done this year.
And don't forget, coming to this year, they lose Aiden
Mahaney. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Gonzaga brought everyone back, and it's like, transition year for St. Mary's. Gonzaga's going to roll away, and Lord behold, we're here. I had St. Mary's ranked this week. What a year!
Yeah, they were on my list of teams to be considered along with Maryland. So yeah, it's been impressive.
And they play Saturday. We'll probably talk about that more on
Thursday.
We
will. Ed Cooley's now 0-4 against Providence since leaving. Whoops. I'm sure Providence fans eating that up for sure. Mark Sears, I don't know if you saw this. Do you know Mark Sears did not play in the second half against LSU over the weekend?
I was all over this. I almost flipped Bama to the main screen when I was watching. I couldn't believe it because I saw on Twitter that he had not played, and his body language was very weird on the bench. Like some assistant coach was consoling him. It was bizarre. Yeah, not all is fine and dandy in Tuscaloosa, and LSU hung around in that game for a little while. So Bama did not put them away. So you kind of wonder what kind of mind games Nate Oates is playing over there in Tuscaloosa. Congratulations. What'd you say? Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh. We want to say a big congratulations to John Calipari winning his first conference game of the season, and they somehow covered in the process. One of the most legendary covers of all time, and then they lose to Oklahoma, which is just perfect. It's perfection. Nothing. John Calipari, don't ever change. Duke currently with the nation's longest winning streak. Duke almost blew it against NC State last night. They did not play well, but still got the win at home. West Virginia, we thought we started to get hot on them, and then somehow they run into my Kansas State Wildcats. No, they're not my Kansas State Wildcats. We're not doing that.
Not long, just early, Robbie.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, thank you. I want to start putting out there that Braden Smith might be the new Chris Paul. And you might say, wait, what? Look at the numbers right now. Paul's sophomore season at Wake Forest when he was first-team All-American, eventually selected fourth in the NBA draft. This is from Stock Talks 21, Jordan Stocks on Twitter. They have similar size, similar athleticism. They both averaged, so Chris Paul averaged 15.3 points per game as a sophomore. Braden Smith currently 15.4. Rebounds per game. Chris Paul, 4.5. Braden Smith, 4.8. Assists per game. Chris Paul, 6.6. Braden Smith, 8.9. Steals per game, equal at 2.4. Turnovers per game, equal 2.8. The numbers kind of add up, and there's some comparison talk going on right now that Braden Smith could be the next Chris Paul. Tell me I'm wrong.
So I saw someone retweet this, and I was very ready to come on here and, really slam you. The numbers were pretty similar. I'll give you that. I can't really argue it.
You can't deny the numbers.
I walked away also being just as probably more impressed with Chris Paul. He shot like 49% from three his second year.
Crazy.
I did not know. I will push back a little bit. I don't know if there's similar athleticism. Chris Paul was a pretty good athlete, but not to say Braden Smith isn't. But yeah, Robbie, it's a pretty good case. I can't really argue with Braden Smith, dude. He's been incredible. On the head. You were right. You're very much right, Robbie. Especially how much they truly need him to be good too.
Yeah. Yeah, they need him at his best at every game, and when he doesn't play his best, they lose to Ohio State. Shocking.
Yeah.
So make that sense of that.
We've not talked about they smoked Michigan on Friday. That was a beatdown.
Glorious too. And I have some concerns about Michigan. I'm not sure. I think we hyped them up too soon too. Like Danny Wolf has not been great. Vlad's been solid. Namari Burnett's been really good, but Roddy Gale's just been okay. Like Michigan's got some problems. Speaking of the Big Ten, like Minnesota, where in the world have you come from? Tonight is going to be a great test to see if Minnesota really is legit and for real, because you play at Michigan State. If you can hang with the Spartans, okay, you've piqued my interest. But Dawson Garcia's got to go for 30 tonight. That's the only way they have a chance. That's just that it is what it is.
One last thing real quick on that.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see teams like Minnesota and like other bomb fears in Big Ten. If there's any extra motivation to make the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe some teams you give up earlier. I don't know. Maybe that motivates some people. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, the bottom four teams in the Big Ten, or the bottom three, I should say, do not make the Big Ten tournament this year. Right now, that current bottom four is Rutgers, Penn State, Nebraska, Washington. And 2 weeks ago, everyone was hyping up Nebraska as being a team to watch out for, and they have fallen off a cliff. They've lost 6 straight. So you start to wonder, Minnesota's won 3 straight. 2 of those are against ranked teams. I don't know.
Get hot.
We'll see.
Show up the other Ben Johnson.
Speaking of being hot, how about the Mountain West? New Mexico, hot. Utah State, hot. Colorado State, hot. San Diego State, hot. Boise State,
hot.
Nah, not really.
I just want to keep it going.
But UNLV has been okay. So right now, I remember when you said the A-10 was going to get 3 teams into the Big Dance this year.
No chance.
Were you mentioning the Mountain West in the process? The Mountain West could legitimately get 5 teams in.
Yes, it can. Should we say, boys? Are we back on Mountain West?
Oh, we're back on the Mountain West.
Okay, we're back on. Okay,
the A-10 was like a little summer fling. I'm back on full on Mountain West. Give me all the attention. We're taking you out to dinner, full steak dinner. We're back Mountain West.
St. Bonaventure's like the hot girl at the bar.
The Bonnies can go.
Crazy.
Dusty ruined the Bonnies.
They're 3-5 in the A-10 now.
I'm so sick of the Bonnies.
Oh, he's back.
The Bonnies have ruined it for us, and great timing. Dusty's here now to mention the fact that the Bonnies are a massive disappointment. Ever since Dusty ranked them, they have done nothing but lose.
I think they're like 2-4 since I ranked them.
They were 13-point underdogs against VCU. That's where they're at now.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Mountain West back. VJ Edgecombe possibly back too. Baylor's been playing better lately. Won at Utah, beat Kansas State. The TCU loss was terrible. We're not going to talk about that. But the Utah win, VJ had 21, 8 for 18 shooting. Norchad O'Meara was a big factor. You still need to get Jeremy Roach back, and that changes the equation a little bit. Jaden Nunn has been good in spots. So, again, I picked Baylor to go to the Final Four. They need to pick it up to push a little bit. So,
Bobby, you can start out if you want. Where are we?
We are just finishing up sidelines right now. So we are on to our give them some love. I think it's time to focus on the teams that we need to give some more love to. So Dusty, you're back in. Give me a team to give some love to.
I want to see if you guys can get this right. There are 11 unbeaten teams in conference play. I'm going to see if you can guess them.
Oh,
Towson.
Towson? Towson's not.
Towson, LIU, Brooklyn. I think they're both.
Towson's 7-1.
Oh crap! Who's the team in the American East that's undefeated right now?
Brooklyn? They were at one point. Are they still?
Wait, is Maine undefeated still?
Maine's not undefeated.
Dang it!
Maine's 5-1.
Oh darn!
Have you checked Brooklyn? LIU, Brooklyn.
I thought LIU. I think they have one loss.
Did they finally lose?
Or they're now LIU. By the way, it's just Long Island. They're not. They took the Brooklyn off. Remember?
Reverse nets.
Long Island's lost 2 straight. They're 6-2.
Isn't Utah?
Right.
Utah Valley's one of them, right?
Utah Valley. They're
Okay.
7-2.
Houston, Auburn.
Houston, Auburn,
good job.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Is
Michigan
Colgate?
State.
No, Colgate's lost.
Colgate.
Because I know they're playing better in the conference now.
You got another major power.
Southern's undefeated still.
They're not a major power, but good job.
Other major power.
Do you know how many were at? St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, yep.
You have 1, 2, 3, 5 left. You're halfway there.
Oh man,
This is great podcasting. I love this.
I don't think you guys said them.
Bradley's lost one, right?
Bradley is not undefeated.
Okay.
Cleveland State.
Oh, Cleveland State. Yep. Yeah, they're in the horizon. Yeah, they've lost. They haven't lost any.
No.
They're not.
Pretty sure they haven't.
No, they're 10-1.
Oh, they lost one. Darn it. Oh, Akron. Akron hasn't.
Akron is undefeated. Yes.
Yeah, Akron's undefeated.
Green Bay's on 11. Does that count?
Close.
McNeese is the other one I know because they're in this. Yeah, they haven't lost.
Oh, it's probably one of the Ivy League schools.
No. I know I know which team you're picking, and I'm not going to say it.
Well, you have 3 left, regardless, and one is
Is it Omaha? Are you talking Omaha?
Omaha.
Undefeated. Omaha's undefeated. They're in the Summit.
I bet one Ivy League. Princeton, Yale.
Okay, so there's 12. Omaha. I stand corrected.
Yeah, Omaha had a really good video with their coach in the locker room after they won.
Apologize to my viewers and fans. Omaha has not lost, and they've won 9 straight.
I know Yale. Did we say Duke?
Princeton.
Oh, Yale and Duke. Duke was the major power. I didn't think I heard that. And there's one more. And it's funny because undefeated.
It's the America East team. There's a team in the America East.
UMass Lowell.
No, they've lost.
No, correct, Robbie, because the reason I started this is when you said give them some love. I started with this team. I was like, oh, wow, undefeated still in conference. Started to write up about them. And then realized, there's now 11 other teams.
Bryant, the Bulldogs. Okay, America East. Yes, I couldn't think of them. All right. So Bryant, undefeated. Wow. Is Doug Eddard still there?
Yes.
I get told I look like him all the time. It drives me insane. Not funny. looks like a creep.
Wow, how about Bryant? So, Bryant 12-9 overall, 6-0 in the America East. We all thought it was going to be a runaway for Vermont to win the America East again this year, and now all of a sudden, UMass Lowell's in the mix. Maine is 5-1. Like, the America East has a little bit of drama this year. I like it.
NJINT, a hot 4-17. What do you think NJINT's like overall record in the history of Division I is? I mean, it's got to be miserable.
I mean, it's below 30% win percentage. Has to be.
They upset someone weird.
I'm going to audit this, and
yeah. Figure that out. Nick, who's the team that you need to give some love to?
It's funny, Robbie. We mentioned his brother earlier in the show for funny reasons. Archie Miller's brother, though, Sean Miller's Xavier Musketeers.
Yeah.
So they start off the year 9-7. They didn't have any terrible losses, but like they lost at TCU, lost like 25 to Michigan. But in the last 5 games, Mr. Donahoe and Mr. Mills, they are 4-1. And here are the 5 games. Start off 1 at DePaul, whatever. Then they went home Nova, at Marquette, lost in overtime to St. John's, and then beat UConn. So beat legitimately some good teams in that span.
Wow.
They got Zach Fremantle back, my guy, on January 3rd. A lot of people thought he was going to be out for the year. He's not. The big white menace is back. He's averaging 16-7. And current bracket matrix on Monday, they're the 8th team out. So there's very much in play. Very much, it's just got to stack wins at this point. So,
yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't like Xavier. I mean, I know because a lot of like Butler fans don't. A lot of people I know at least. I've had maybe because I'm a Reds fan, I have a soft spot for Xavier X, if you will. So I like to see him playing well. So shout the X-Men.
Love it. My team that deserves some hype and some praise. How about the Highlanders of UC Riverside? These guys just went on a crazy last 3-game win streak. It started beating the Tritons of UC San Diego, a top 3 team in the Big West. Then they beat UC Irvine, some consider to be a potential at-large team for the Big Dance. And then they go on the road and beat a really good Cal State Bakersfield team. They've won 3 straight. If you don't know by now, that UC Irvine game is going to be, we have a user-submitted Nick's Funny of the Week for that UC Irvine game, which I'm excited to go through. But at the start of the season, when we made our conference championship picks, UC Riverside was my team that I wanted to pick, and I picked them to win the Big West. And I shouted out Barrington Hargris. He went for a 40-piece against UC Irvine. He's been balling. He averages 20 a game right now. Or he went for 40 against UC San Diego, sorry. But I love this UC Riverside team. They are so much fun to watch, and they play so well together. If they somehow can win the Big West, or if they can get out of there, I think they're going to be really fun in the tournament. So there's my team that deserves some hype. All the way out on the West Coast, UC Riverside.
Shout out to Big West. Really fun this year.
Great conference.
Robbie, in D1 play, NJIT, you wanna give another guess?
I mean, I said 30% win percentage.
42.7.
Oh, wow. That's higher than I thought. Okay. That's
Don't
impressive.
forget they beat Michigan. I found it.
Yeah, they've had 3 21 seasons.
Wow. That's impressive.
Don't forget
after 07-08 going 0-29.
Hey, shout out to Crab. You have to shout out NJIT's upset win over Michigan in 2014 when Michigan was ranked 17th.
I remember watching that game. I was in Chicago during it, and we were watching it. I think it was a Saturday noon tip-off.
It was December 6th, 2014, so whenever that was.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Wow.
Shout out Pearl Harbor.
No. December, yes, they went 12. Oh, that was one of their good years. 21-12 under Jim Ingles.
There you go. Let's turn our attention. Nick, I want you to give me just a quick update either on, I know we got Bubble Watch starting February, but maybe a bracket matrix update, bracketology update. During this time, I also want to update where we are on the leaderboard of our conference championship picks. Get excited.
If no one listened to our preview show, Robbie did not tell me Dusty was going to do that beforehand.
Read the rundown. It was on the rundown, and you didn't read it.
This is whatever. Frame it however you will. fear, okay? But either way.
By the way, I want to mention I like my steak medium rare. I usually go ribeye. Sometimes I'll go filet, but just so you guys know.
I'm a medium rare guy, too. Anything else, you're psychotic.
Agreed. Steak sauce also. Steak sauce, get the hell out of here.
Alrighty. According to Bracket Matrix, which was updated yesterday.
A1's not a sponsor.
Yes.
Crab?
He said A1's not a sponsor.
No free ads.
No free ads.
All right. According to Bracket Matrix, that was updated yesterday, which again, Bracket Matrix takes 75 of the best bracketologists online and combines them all into one. Shout Bracket Matrix. That's a free ad for them.
Mm-hmm.
Last 5 teams in as of yesterday. Texas, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio State, and Central Florida.
Wow, UCF? Really?
Golden Knights hanging on?
Okay.
And especially Texas, UNC, Ohio State, kind of underperforming big teams.
UNC. Whoa.
And then there's about 7 at-larges on the outside looking in. I'll run through them real quick. Wake Forest, tough one on Saturday. Arizona State, who's your daddy right there. Nebraska still hanging on. BYU, my Musketeers, SMU, and Cincinnati.
And my Bearcats, you mean? I was waiting for Nick to say, and my Bearcats currently.
My Bearcats are just, gosh, Wes Miller, he may not see another year.
He may
yeah,
not.
those are the teams right now. I guess to play a role of Robbie, any of those teams on the outside looking in, you think can, get hot and get in?
Wake Forest. I think they have the pieces to do it. And yeah, that Duke game was a tough one because I thought they played good enough to win that game. Just couldn't close it out down the stretch. I think they look the part. We'll see if they actually can back it up. I think it helps a ton as well for them that they play in the ACC, a conference that lends itself to, being in a position where you can take advantage of some teams. But the problem that Wake Forest has is they're 71 in the net. They're 1-5 in quadrant 1 games right now. They play Louisville tonight. If they can win at Louisville, that's huge. But they have the rest of their schedule. They have 1 quad 1 win opportunity. 1. Actually, no, 2. They play at SMU. That's it. So,
Steve Forbes and Wake Forest become the new Seth Greenberg and Vodtech. They're just on the bubble every single year.
Perpetual bubble team.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
That's such a great comparison, Nick.
Every year,
it
became a running joke. Every year, the committee would just leave them out. It was so funny.
So, yeah, I go Wake Forest, but, I think North Carolina is going to find a way to lose their way out of the tournament at this point. I think they're there just basically on name recognition, and
yeah,
they beat who's their only good win? They've got one good win. What is it? UCLA. Gosh, pulling up their team sheet, they're 1-7 against quad 1 teams. 1-7. Their lone win is that UCLA win. They've lost to Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Kansas, Michigan State, Louisville, Wake Forest.
And have a quad 3 loss to Stanford now, too.
Wow.
Not good.
No.
And at Duke on Saturday?
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, yeah, I'd go, that's what I'd go on that for sure.
Yeah, I already said Xavier. Already hyped him up. That'd be my team.
So, an update on our conference championship leaderboard. On our mega preview show at the start of the season, we picked the conference champion of all of the major men's college basketball Division I conferences. Currently, Dusty and I are in a tie for first with 9. Nick, you had
tied. Nothing's official yet.
Well, no, it's not official. I'm just picking the teams that are currently in first. Those are the teams that we picked. Okay. Nick, you have 8, so you're only 1 behind. It is a very, very tight race. Just going through some of the conferences that we were completely off on. In the A-Sun, no one has a team above 5th place right now. That was not good. The Coastal Athletic Association, also not good. We don't have a team above 3rd. The Horizon League, Nick, you picked Green Bay to win the Horizon.
I did?
You did.
Oh, no.
Not great. Other than that, Mountain West, we were a little off. We didn't have New Mexico or Utah State. Neither of us did. We all picked Colgate to win the Patriot. Raiders are starting to make a bit of a run here, so that may change. Summit League we weren't on either. We've missed that completely.
Always off on the side. Yeah.
The West Coast Conference is interesting because Nick and I both took Gonzaga. Dusty took San Francisco, and right now that's a little closer than most of us probably would have even thought at the start of the season. So it's
wait. Dusty, didn't you pick Gonzaga to win the Natty?
He did. Gonzaga to win the Natty, but not the West Coast Conference.
That's awesome.
Which my other favorite one was in the SEC. Dusty initially picked Tennessee to win the SEC, the team he did not rank in his preseason top 25. But currently, Dusty's the only one who had Auburn as the team to win the SEC. So nothing makes sense. It's it's all across the board. All right. We'll have bracketology updates further on. We'll start getting bubble watches with Nick starting next week, so you'll have a better opportunity, better eye on poop or pop or fizz or whatever. I don't know, whatever notes those make. Let's look ahead of the schedule coming up. Last night, should mention, Michigan won, got a step back 3 with 30 seconds to go to beat Penn State. UCLA hung on to beat USC. We obviously talked about Arizona. McNeese stayed perfect in the Southland, winning at Corpus Christi. So the Cowboys are going to run away with the Southland, which we weren't surprised by that. All right, tonight's games, Tuesday night's games. Obviously the big ones, Kentucky at Tennessee. Can the Wildcats find a way to hang with the Vols? Wake Forest at Louisville, another a big opportunity for the Demon Deacons. They need another quad one win. Minnesota's at Michigan State. VCU is now atop of the A-10. They play at St. Louis. Marquette goes to Butler. Bulldogs have been playing better lately. Can they find a way to up in the Golden Eagles? Oregon State is at Gonzaga tonight. The Beavers have been playing really well lately. That could be a trap game for the Bulldogs. They have been all over the place. Wednesday games. The 2 team games I'll mention are off the radar games. Colgate is at Army. Those are the top 2 teams in the Patriot League. Samford is at Furman. Those are top teams in the SoCon. Now, Furman's fallen off a little bit lately. They've been losing some really weird games, so Purple Paladins have been struggling a bit. Other games on Wednesday night. Omaha, 7-0 in the Summit. They go to South Dakota. Alabama is at Mississippi State. Bulldogs need to get that one. Texas is at Ole Miss. St. Mary's goes to Santa Clara, puts that road streak, winning streak on the line. UNLV's at Utah State. Wisconsin goes to Maryland. Northern Iowa's at Drake. Auburn goes to LSU. That's a trap game if there ever was one. Thursday games, Ohio State at Penn State. South Dakota State at North Dakota State. Liberty's at Kennesaw. Memphis goes to Tulane. That could be a trap game. Portland State's at Montana. Those are the top 2 teams in the Big Sky. UC Davis, UC Riverside. Oregon goes to UCLA. Friday, only 2 games to worry about in the slate. Yale is at Princeton, top 2 teams in the Ivy League, and IU's at Purdue. Guess what the line would be in IU Purdue, because I have no idea what it would be, to be honest with you.
At Purdue, I'm going to guess 8.
So I was going to say 9.5.
10.5.
Okay, I think it may be even more now after IU lost that game to Maryland. I don't know. We'll see. Saturday, a lot of really good games on Saturday, and they're almost all in the SEC. Shocking. Florida's at Tennessee. Missouri's at Mississippi State. Auburn goes to Ole Miss. Arizona's at Arizona State. All of a sudden, that game is really interesting. Maine at Vermont. Couple top 3 teams in the America East. UTEP at Middle Tennessee. Those are the top 2 teams in Conference USA. Kansas goes to Baylor. Bubble game in the Big 12. BYU at UCF. Michigan State, this is when the schedule starts to get more challenging. They go to USC. Texas Tech's at Houston. We do have North Carolina Duke. Duke's going to win that game probably by 15, if I guess. UConn's at Marquette. Huskies might have Liam McNeely back for that game. We'll see. Big one in the WAC. Utah Valley's at Grand Canyon. Utah Valley has not lost a conference game yet, so the Lopes need to have that one. Arkansas's at Kentucky. Should mention, the lock of the year before the season was from Dusty. Kentucky will beat Arkansas on February 1st. That was the lock of the year for Dusty. So, see if that comes to
nervous about that.
I would be a little nervous too. New Mexico at Utah State, first place in the Mountain West on the line coming up this Saturday. Washington State at San Francisco. Gonzaga goes to St. Mary's. And then Sunday games, Ohio State at Illinois, West Virginia and Cincinnati. And then first place on the line in the Horizon League. Well, second place, I should say, because Cleveland State's first. Fort Wayne's at Milwaukee. Any games coming up these next 5-6 days that catch your eye outside of, obviously, the Kentucky games, guys?
Yeah, you mentioned Kentucky. It's just such a big week for them for obvious reasons. So again, I don't want to dive into that. The one I'm kind of looking at is Auburn at Ole Miss. Can Ole Miss, are they actually a good team? Was that Bama game a fluke? So
Yes.
So
great question.
And then Gonzaga and St. Mary's is the other big one for me too.
Yeah, Ole Miss has been a little disappointing lately. They had that A&M game won and just couldn't close that one out. And then Missouri kind of beat them up pretty bad. They led that one game from start to finish. But, yeah, these next 3 games are big for Ole Miss. You get Texas at home Wednesday night. You get Auburn at home Saturday. And then you get Kentucky at home the following Tuesday. So 3 straight home games for Ole Miss. You got to go 2-1 in that stretch, probably, to feel really good about yourself. But, interesting set of games there. Dusty, anything jumping out the page to you?
Sunday, as we're talking about mid-majors, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Milwaukee, both 8-3 in the conference right now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get in the mid-major mode, and this is when I get excited about stuff. And then the other one on Sunday I love is at 4 o'clock on ESPN2, Bradley at Northern Iowa.
Great game, yes.
So Bradley's 9-1 in the conference in the MVC. Northern Iowa 7-3. So just fun if you guys want to be, to our fans, not us. But if you want to jump into games, hop on those. And then also on Sunday, Ryder, go get your ass kicked, hosts Merrimack on Sunday. Merrimack is 8-1 in the conference. Ryder is a 3-6.
Oh, tough break, Ryder.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll have to tell the listeners why you have so much disdain for Ryder at some point. It doesn't have to be today. It can be at some point.
We will. I like my day, so we'll save it for another time.
There we go. All right, time to get locked. Last week, Dusty and I took care of business on our triple lock, our 3-team parlay. Nick did not because John Tanji decided to make a 3 with 3 seconds left, so that was dumb. So Iowa State covered. George Mason covered with ease. Impressive from the Patriots. So I am 7-5 this year, 14-7 overall. Nick is 8-3 this year, 11-9 overall. Dusty 9-6 this year, and 14-10 overall. But I also want to take this opportunity while we're talking about our picks for the beginning of the year to revisit our locks of the year. We only did 3. We each did 1. I mentioned Dusty's was Kentucky will beat Arkansas on February 1st. We'll see if that comes to fruition coming up this weekend.
Oh, no.
My lock of the year was Braden Smith will be first-team All-American.
Look at the pride in his face right now.
I got so much crap for saying that Braden Smith was going to be first-team All-American from both of you dimwits, and he has been arguably the best point guard in the country this year. So go kick rocks and suck it.
While Mark Sears getting benched in the second half.
Exactly. And the piece de resistance is Nick picking Cincinnati to finish top 4 in the Big 12. Yikes.
Technically not dead. They
technically, mathematically, no, but technically, yes, it's dead.
They are Swift 2-6 in the conference as we sit here today.
Yikes.
I got nothing. What do you want from me?
Nick, redeem yourself. Give me a lock that I can hang my hat on this week because you're...
I'm keeping it simple this week. UConn has lost 2 of 3, and their one win was an overtime win over Butler. They host DePaul on Wednesday. It's minus 14.5. They're going to splatter them. This is not going to be a game. Give me our guy, Dan Hurley.
Whoa!
Take it to DePaul on Wednesday.
I do not condone that. No.
Our guy, Robbie.
How dare you? How dare you? Dusty, your lock of the week.
I have in a little race for the conference. Illinois Chicago plays at Bradley on Wednesday.
Oh.
The line I got is +9, and Illinois Chicago, the Flames, have lost 7 straight against Bradley. That are run for the conference. I have UIC plus 9 at Bradley.
Whoa! I would have gone -9 there because Bradley at home. But okay.
Yourself.
The Flames are coming.
The Flames are coming. All right. My lock of the week is tonight. And I'm going to take Oregon State plus 14.5 at Gonzaga.
Wow.
Gonzaga has been a little iffy at home lately. Heck, if you wanted to get real weird, you can take the money line plus 750.
Wow. Okay,
You're really,
but
Professor.
Robbie's got Bieber on his mind. I love it.
I'm feeling like Gonzaga's been disappointing lately. Oregon State has shown that they've got a really good team. I mean, they beat Gonzaga at home. They've won 4 of their last 5.
Haven't won at home in 17 days.
So, I mean, Michael Rattay has been great. Oregon's. I love the big number, 14.5. So let's ride it, baby. 14.5 for Oregon State, plus 14.5. So here you go. Lock it in.
I like it, Robbie.
Lock it in. All right. So there's your locks for this weekend, or this week/weekend, I should say. All right.
Can we still not hear the cowbell?
I don't know how it keeps cutting it out, but it does. That's crazy. Yeah. That's really funny.
Hate to see it.
Yeah. All right, Nick. It's your time to shine, my friend. It is. I am so excited for these because I know there's a couple of them that you could go with, and I'm going to mention them if you don't miss. And so it is time. Let's get weird. Let's get wacky. It's Nick's Funnies of the week.
Like you said, Robbie, this is a loaded week this week, so please let me know if I missed anything. We're starting off Wednesday night in the Big Ten. I've already hinted this already. Northwestern basketball put on a clinic on Wednesday on the court.
I know what you're going to do here.
Or on the court they did, but also off the court as well. Off the court, they chanted "Hire Woodson," which I mentioned earlier. But my favorite moment of the game, as a white man, white basketball problems, we always get excited when we have a great dunk. But goddamn, our guy Brooks Barnheiser dunked it in an 8 and face planted on the ground afterwards, which was the most white Northwestern basketball player thing ever. Finally gets a great dunk and just headbutts the floor. Hate to see. I literally face palmed myself after seeing that. Again, they chanted "Hire Woodson" later, I should say. Beautiful Northwestern basketball. Got a great laugh after this.
What's funny is Brooks actually basically broke a tooth in the Purdue game earlier this year. So he's had some weird stuff been going on with his face. He's been eating a lot of ish. So yes.
Brooke, Robbie.
No.
Brooke might have to go full Richard Hamilton with the mask.
Maybe.
We have a throwback, funny, that I've got to shout out last week because that's what I say now, because our friend Brian Haydad is the one who tweeted it out. 2 weeks ago, when Auburn beat Mississippi State without Janai Broome, the Mississippi State men's basketball Twitter account tweeted out WDE, which if people don't know, that stands for War Damn Eagle. And then, reporter from our very own Brian Haydad, he tweeted and said, was told an Auburn fan opened an MSU employee's laptop when he was away from the desk and tweeted this. So I
could see that happening because I know the SID for men's basketball at Mississippi State. I'm pretty sure it's probably his laptop. And again, because that scorer's table, I believe the student section's right behind that scorer's table. So I would imagine that's exactly what happened. So that's completely truthful. So, but that's also a lesson for SIDs. Don't leave your laptops unlocked when you're not around them because college students are going to do that kind of stuff.
If you learn nothing else from the D1 Done podcast, SIDs learn that right there.
Yeah.
I just want a bonus one. I just want to throw out the Commanders-Eagles NFC Championship game because I learned a rule that I did not know.
Neither did I.
Dustin and I talked about that. If people didn't see, the Commanders jumped offsides 4 times in a row. And evidently, if a team has too many penalties in a row, The referees could just award a touchdown. I did not know that was a thing. That cracked me up. I had to shut that out. Did you know that, Crab?
No, I did not.
What's funny is I feel like the Eagles help us learn so many things. You know, Donovan McNabb didn't know overtime existed, and now we know that the officials can award touchdowns. The Eagles just are the gift that keep on giving.
It's called a palpable unfair act, which sounds like something like the colonists back in the 1700s would riot against King George. It's so good. All right, 2 more quick ones. The funny of the year so far, I think, is horseplay, right?
Yes.
One of those players involved, he had another funny this week. Ja'Kai Howard of Auburn, at halftime of the Tennessee game, posted on his Instagram story the prayer emoji, hand up emoji. And then 2 minutes in the game, of the second half, got into his Bruce Pearl and got sent into the locker room. So our guy, Ja'Kai Howard,
I did not see this.
Horseplay, it's still going strong.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. Shows how I wasn't paying attention. Wow.
And then the final one, then Robbie can shout Alex's submission one. I forgot to look that up. We have a bonus one because we recorded Tuesday. The telecast of Duke NC State was off the rails last night, okay? For example, they showed NC State's team from last year, like what they're doing now. Basically said they're all in different countries. And then our guy is a DJ Morsell. They shout out that he's just an analyst somewhere. They just had to emphasize
Oh, yeah, Casey
that.
Morsell. Yeah, he's an analyst now.
They did Casey Morsell so dirty. I always botch his name. Duke center.
I can't remember his name either, but yes, yeah.
Puked mid-game, which I don't think I've ever seen. Like, just flat out puked. The woman is okay, but a Duke fan in the Crazies did
pass out. Became unconscious. Yeah,
unconscious. She is okay. Again, this is just all the same telecast. And another weird thing, Corey Alexander. First of all, the other day was the 5-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's tragic death. Not trying to make light of that. But Corey Alexander had almost like awkward like shout-outs to him I've ever seen in my life. I can't even like do it justice. Go find it on Twitter. It was so awkward. This game was off the rails. NC State almost won this game at Cameron Indoor. It was a great basketball game, whatever. Just off the rails. The funnies were funny, and shout out to college basketball. And shout out my dog Disney, who Dusty's having on the Zoom right now. The cutest dog.
Yeah. Let me play it right now just so everyone can hear it.
For those that don't know, I'm sure many do. Rest in peace to the late, great Kobe Bryant. As you see Coop rocking his Kobe's, we are...
So Cooper Flagg wearing Kobe Bryant shoes, and Corey Alexander comes in and says, for those that don't know, rest in peace to the late, great Kobe Bryant. What? Like, no one knew this?
And his tone was so weird.
So odd.
It was one of the most just odd things I've ever seen. And between everything else in this basketball game, shout out to everyone involved.
So we ended with a GFOP submitted funny, and this is from GFOP Alex. Alex, we appreciate you tuning in. And he was the one who found this one, and I did not know this until I actually looked it up. So when UC Riverside and UC Irvine played last week, the game was on ESPN+. Big game in the Big West. Went to overtime. It was 82-80 with 10 seconds left, and all of a sudden, the feed just cuts out. The game just is like... Did the game stop? Or what happened? No, with 10 seconds left in OT, we don't know if the game ended. The ESPN broadcast does not exist past 10 seconds in overtime. Now, Riverside did win 84-80, but it went to like that, that generic ESPN like loading, like your game will about to start. It sat on that for 45 minutes, and we didn't see the end of the Irvine Riverside game. I was... Like, when Alex posted that on Instagram, which, by the way, follow us on Instagram, D1 and Done Pod, I was like, there's no way. That has to have been, like, some internet issue on his end or whatever. No, I actually watched the last 2 minutes of the game, and I don't know what happened because ESPN cut the feed. And what I imagined was it was on, like, a timed broadcast, and once it hit that in time, it cut back to the your game will begin shortly ESPN graphic. But... of such a huge game that had massive implications in the Big West, for us to not see the end of it is horrific. So,
shout out to Alex. This is such a good,
amazing,
funny,
a fantastic funny. Hashtag get AI out of sports, because that's exactly what just happened, and I can't believe it. Alex, again, shout out to you, my friend. That was a fantastic find. By the way, he is a super duper college basketball junkie. Like, he is the man when it comes to this stuff. He's been listening to the show the entire time, so we appreciate him. That was an awesome find.
And shout out the Heidi game, the NFL game back in 1968 between
Yes.
the Jets and Raiders. This happened to them once. A girl named Heidi played over the final 2 minutes of the game.
How about that? Yeah, so the Irvine Riverside game, basically the Heidi game version of that now in college basketball. So there you go. Nick, you outdid yourself with those funnies, my friend. Those were fantastic.
I think the funny of the week is the Duke NC State game last.
Yeah.
I forgot to give one. Yeah.
And you forgot to mention Con Knipple also had his leg grabbed as he was trying to keep the guy in bounds. That happened too.
Good point. I forgot about that.
Just absolutely chaos.
And we mentioned Archie earlier. That was part of the funnies too. So, about college basketball, it's so good.
I think Brooks Barnheiser wins because that's one of the biggest face plants I've ever seen in a basketball game. Go look it up. Go look up Brooks Barnheiser dunk in that Northwestern game. You will see, it made you cringe after you saw it. That's how bad it was. It was awful. So, great funnies, Nick. Thank you. Let's turn the page. Dusty, it's time to reminisce and look back at our wonderful time playing Division I men's college basketball. It is Dusty's story time.
So this is one that's near and dear to my heart. And this goes back to show just how, in a nice way, how crazy fans are. So my freshman year at Kentucky, I got a Facebook inbox out of nowhere from a kid. I want to say kid because he was in high school at the time, that his dad was laying on his deathbed dying of cancer. And his dad wanted my autograph because he thought my story was so cool. Wow. So I went to the, what do you call it? The school library, not library, but bookstore. And by myself bought one of those, like autograph balls where like two sides is white. And the other two sides, the basketball.
You bought one of those? Those are not cheap.
Cost $65 back in 2008. And I signed it, and I wrote the dad a letter, and I sent to the hospital. And it wasn't Lexington. I want to say it was Louisville. They've been Louisville Memorial Hospital. And I sent to him. Unfortunately, never heard back from them. But I just wrote him this long letter and just said, it's an honor for someone like you to reach out to me. God bless you and your family. I hope that things turn out well. But it's just things like that where you forget how much we all just love sports way too much. And the flattering status of getting that request was one of the coolest things that's ever happened in my life. So
that's awesome.
Truly don't even know if he received the ball. I assume he did because I sent the right address and, like I said, wrote him a long letter. But it's things like that you don't realize until you're in the moment. It's like, damn, I guess at the time, probably 19 years old at the time, and you're making 50-year-olds just feel like hope and excitement and stuff like that. So it's a certain thing where like sports just transcends us so much, and it's just a really cool moment that I'll never forget about.
That's awesome. What a great story, man.
Yes, my dad did pay me back, but yeah.
I like a nice little more wholesome story this week,
Yeah.
Brad. I like it.
Thank you.
It would have been better if actually the bookstore saw you and you're Dusty Mills. Oh, just take the ball. It's fine. Just take it.
We didn't have violations, Robbie.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Well, Dusty, since you told us you are so excited about your end of show shout out, we have to let you get started with it. So
I am so pumped about this.
Oh boy.
Shout out for William Paul, and here's the kicker. He pronounces his last name, well, he's dead, McKilvey, but he has no vowels in his name. So he went by Bill McKelvey. And so Bill played at Temple. And Bill holds the NCAA record back in 1951 for scoring 54 consecutive points for Temple.
Whoa.
So most points for one player with one team. There's more to that. He was also drafted as a 1952 territorial pick by the Philadelphia Warriors. He was also the 1951 consistent first-team All-American and the NCAA scoring champion. His number 20 is retired by Temple. After he was drafted, he decided to go back to Temple to become a dentist. After his rookie season, Coach Ed Docklieb which I've not done further research. If there's is that Doug's father by any chance?
I'm gonna look it up.
So he asked Bill to choose between school and basketball, but he decided to go work for the U.S. Army as a private during the Vietnam War. And also the reason he went back to Slovakia, or he came from Slovakia because his dad was working for the New Jersey Zinc Company, and he's one of 8 children.
Wow. By the way, no, Eddie Gottlieb, no relation to Doug, thankfully.
No. Okay,
I love his dad made him choose between basketball and dentistry, like some awful Disney movie. I love it.
Correct. And he died in 2024 at the age of 93. But junior year dropped 29.2 a game.
So, fun fact.
Whoa. No. Last thing I forgot. My favorite part about him is I told you his name, McKelvey, but no, it's MLKVY, and his nickname was the Owl without a vowel.
Oh, that's a good nickname.
Great nickname.
Oh, that's fantastic. NBA territorial picks territorial pick was a special type of draft choice used in the Basketball Association of America draft in 49 and then eventually in the NBA. Do you know that same team that picked Bill in 1952, the Philadelphia Warriors, 7 years later used their territorial pick to pick Wilt Chamberlain. Yep.
Oh.
How about that? So it all comes full circle there, which, by the way, I don't think I knew that he started off playing, I didn't put that together, that Philadelphia was the Warriors when eventually they went to San Francisco and then became Golden State. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I only know because of Sporkle. Shout out to it. No free ads.
No free ads. Dusty, great. That's fantastic.
That's probably my favorite one.
That's a real good one.
Owl is the most amazing.
Owl without a vowel. That's a great nickname. I love it. Nick, end of show shout out to you.
I have 2 quick ones. One, Ellie De La Cruz. He's on the cover of MLB The Show this year. You know, the Reds, we're not here to win playoff series. We're here to get on the cover of MLB The Show, baby. So, love to see it. And my other shout out is a story I've been keeping an eye on for the show, so I'll update it. Headline from over the week. Quote, Bonnie Blue slams jealous Lily Phillips and claims former friend stole her idea. There's more to it, but I'll end the headline there. So, a little beef between Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips. You know, someone stole someone's idea. A little WWE action going. So,
oh yeah,
because
Bonnie Blue.
That's what we. How does it always end up with this end of show shout out? Ends up being you talking about one of them. Don't. By the way, kids.
No,
Robbie, misogynistic much, huh?
No. Kids, do not look up either of those 2 names. Please don't.
Or husbands, actually.
Just no one look it up. Don't look up either of the names. Just don't do it.
Shout out. Hey, that was my shout outs to Ellie, Bonnie, and Lily.
Fantastic. I've got 2 shout outs. My first shout out is to both of you because you suck and Braden Smith is the man. And I'm forever going to take that to my grave, basically landing on that. But my second shout out goes to my wife. I want to just hype her up because she's a freaking rock star and I love her to death. And she's basically a big reason why this pod is here. So she has been working her tail off lately and we've been going through some tough times. So I just want to tell her, and I already tell her this to begin with, but I want all of you to know how much I appreciate her and how much, how lucky I am to call her my wife. So shout out to my wife, Kelly, first lady of the pod. She's the best. And I appreciate her very much. So
would you recommend on her or Braden Smith on your grave?
Her. Definitely.
Okay. Affirming, you're pretty adamant about Braden Smith. So.
Well, I mean that's sports. Like she's life. Like life outdoes sports. Sorry.
You know what's crazy? You saying her name, like we're not too far away from the first ladies of the March Madness pod.
We aren't. First ladies of the pod bracket picks, and go back and listen. Like that's one of our most listened to pods from last year. Was when Haley Mills, Dusty's wife, and
it is the only one they've listened to. Just so you know,
which I don't blame them.
It was so entertaining.
It was. So Haley Mills and Kelly Donahoe picked the March Madness bracket, and it was so entertaining and so much fun. But their bracket was actually like in the top 1% of ESPN brackets for like the first week. Like they were crushing it. And then Alabama made the big run, and I think I can't remember the other one, like they just missed completely, but like they were doing really well there for a while in that bracket. So it was pretty impressive. But yeah, we're what 50 days away from March Madness now?
Sounds about right.
So we're getting close.
And look at us, Robbie. We're shouting out the women of life. Dusty shouting out Haley. You're shouting out Kelly. And I'm shouting out Bonnie.
Oh, gosh.
That's what life's all about right there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Disney at least, but
Yeah. Don't tell her that you shouted out Bonnie over your favorite dog.
My dog.
Your dog. That's your dog. All right.
Mills, who's sick tonight, and we can't watch the Kentucky game over there because of him.
Wait, what?
My dad's sick, he said.
Oh, your dad's sick. Oh. I'm sorry about that.
Dad? Like him?
Yeah.
He's not deathbed sick for the listeners out there. He's just this little flu. All good. Just for the record.
That flu's going around, man.
A little vomit, a little diarrhea, no big deal.
So basically a Duke game.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode of the D1 and Done pod. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. Check Please will be coming in on Thursday, so we'll have an opportunity to check in and go through the last few days of results. And hopefully when we check in on Thursday, we'll be checking in after a big Kentucky win at Tennessee, but we will see how everything goes. So hopefully all of you are doing great. Have a fantastic start to your week. For Dusty, for Nick, I'm Robbie. Thanks for listening in to this episode of the D1 and Done pod, and we'll see you next time.
Go Cats. Bite me, Tennessee.